This is historic Galway. Today we're going to explore this city that has more than 800 years of history dating back to the medieval era. There's many wonderful landmarks all around here in this city, and we're going to show you some of those beautiful places and also the beautiful colorful buildings. I'm Ariel, this is Urbanist. Let me know where you're watching from, and let's explore historic Galway. Hello Mater, hello Ronald, hello Sylvia, hello B. Griffin, welcome. Nice to see you here. Hello Cynthia, hello Sergio. So let me show you a map of Galway. Gotta mind the cars. This is the West End right now. We're gonna make our way again towards the center. There's a lot here to see in Galway, so I'm so excited to kind of just explore. B. Griffith says there's a casino. Yeah, they're all around here in Ireland. Hey, Kay, welcome. Hello, Tommy from California. Nice to see you here. Hello, Janice from NYC. Brian, welcome. Nice to see you here, Brian. Welcome. Kid Millifoucha, which means 100,000 welcomes. Not one welcome is enough. Not 100 welcomes is enough. Nor like in the Italian language, 1,000. No, here is 100,000 welcomes. Kid Millifoucha. Hey, the sidewalks look tiny. They are, and that's why. Streets are tiny, and that's why I keep looking across my shoulder, because they're so close to the sidewalk. So if I go silent for seconds any given time, even between my sentences, you know that's why. I'm like looking if a car is passing right next to me. This? Great question. It is one of the shortest rivers here in Ireland, but we're going to get closer to it. I'll show you what makes it special. So people are asking, is this the new jacket? I went to the place. I tried the orange one. The orange one was a bit too tight. It's a Danish company. And I'm referring to yesterday, I walked through Galway at night and passed by a lovely clothing shop that was closed for men. And they had an orange jacket. The orange jacket is a bit too tight. Made by a Danish company. Apparently Danes are very, very skinny people. I'm a little bit of a bigger guy. So I couldn't buy the orange coat. But they had another company, an Italian company, had this blue overcoat. So yeah, I got a new jacket. Because it's so chilly, and it'll last me these next few days. And it's pure wool in the front. So I got a little bit of piece of Ireland in front of me. And it's waterproof, which is nice. So yeah, it's wool. So it's waterproof, and inside it's vegan down. I'm not sure how they make it, but it's a synthetic down. So here is the river, and this river is 6 kilometers long, so it's very short for when it compares it to the other rivers like the River Shannon and the Liffey, but it is very, very rough. It is the second roughest river in all of Ireland. JK, hey, Susie says it's a very nice jacket. Thank you so much, Susie. I appreciate you. Stylish by the river, says Benny. Yes, let's test the jacket in the river, says Ronald. JK says, if I want a guy in the orange one, I will look like a pumpkin. It was a very, very skinny fit. So I will look like a skinny pumpkin if I got that orange one. Very nice jacket. I might get it in the future. So today we're wandering around, but we're gonna bump into a few historical landmarks. I already know exactly where they are, the ones at least here in the city center. We might bump into more. Here's a chain of different inns called Jury's Inn. Seen them all around Ireland. Oh, here's a lovely poem. Galway by Mary Devonport O'Neill. O'Neill, one of the oldest families here in Ireland. Who wants me to do a dramatic reading of this poem? Now, every time I get new viewers, it's amazing. I'm super grateful. There are some very vocal new viewers out there who are confused because they're like, why is this man joking around? Why is he reading things? Why is he stopping and why is he talking so much? So, to all those new viewers out there, welcome everyone. Give a huge round of welcomes to the new viewers. To the ones who are deeply confused, that's the show. And there's other options out there to see quiet videos, seeing the city in super high definition 4K. This is not that type of show. My prerogative here is to entertain. Like if you were hanging out with a very talkative, excitable friend, that's the point of this show. So that's why we do dramatic readings over here. Galway by Mary Devonport O'Neill. I know a town tormented by the sea, and there time goes slow, that the people see it flow and watch it drowsily. And growing older, hour by hour, they say, please God, tomorrow. Then we will work and play. And their tall houses crumble away. This town is eaten through with memory of pride, thick red Spanish wine and gold, and a great come and go. But the sea is cold, and the spare black trees crouch in the withering breeze that blows from the sea, and the land stands bare and alone, for its warmth is turned away, and its strength held in hard, cold gray. Blue stone, and the people are heard to say, through the ravings of the jealous sea, please God, tomorrow, then we will work and play. There we go. Yes. Perfectly describes today in Galway. Cold, gray, breezy, and tomorrow we shall work and play. Joe says perhaps the next size on the tight jacket. Yes, I had to go for a double XL and they didn't have any. So yeah, couldn't get that jacket. Jacob says free beer tomorrow. Oh, that's good to hear. Bear with me, I gotta cross the street. Car stop, I see. Okay, here's an important monument. Hey, Panajotas, nice to see you here. Welcome, new viewer, says Nina. Your show is perfect, says Justine. Thank you so much, Justine. Look at this. Bear with me, I gotta fix my mic. There was a sign for a pub here. Was there? Oh, interesting. Today, no rain. JK, don't get too excited. There's going to be a whole lot of rain. Whole lot of rain over here. Alright, there we go. Alright everyone, I'll show you the new jacket. Part of traveling around, sometimes buying the local clothes, so it is related to travel. Let me show you the new jacket right over here. I gotta do wide angle. There we go. And it has a hood as well, a very big hood, and a very strong hood. Yeah. You guys want some crack? I got the good crack. Just a few pints are required for the crack. Crack, I mean C-R-A-I-C. I'm talking about Irish crack. Fit is king, and you got the fit down pack, says Benny. Yeah, it's a good fit. Thank you so much. Looking sharp. You crack me up, says. I crack you up, Jennifer. That's amazing. Here, on these shores around 1477, the Genoese sailor Cristoforo Colombo found sure signs of land beyond the Atlantic. And this was gifted in 1992 by the city of Genoa in Italy. Will be good for snowy walks, says Mater. Yep, exactly. That's why I needed to buy a thick. That's why I had to buy a thick raincoat that was good enough for a cardigan underneath. Right now, I'm not wearing a cardigan because it's not that cold. But that other orange one that you saw yesterday was too skinny of a fit. I could not fit a cardigan underneath. It did fit me, but I just couldn't fit a cardigan comfortably. So that's why I bought this, because it's rainproof. And I will be showing New York in Christmas time because people love it so much. So I am prepared with some waterproof jacket that I can layer up on. All right, nonetheless, Christopher Columbus, very controversial figure. Definitely controversial for my background, Puerto Ricans. You know, I am Spanish ancestry, but I'm also Taino, Native American ancestry, and fortunately he done very savage, horrible things to the Tainos. But nonetheless, he is an important figure in history. And before he actually went off to Puerto Rico and tortured my poor ancestors, he actually stopped over here and came over from Bristol and head over through the west of Ireland, which is Galway, is the west of Ireland, in the old province of Connacht, and then headed off to Iceland. And that was his first journeys before he got funding to go all the way to the Caribbean. And the city of Genoa decided to gift this to mark Christopher Columbus stopping here. So this is the River Corrib. That's how it's named, the River Corrib. And I think here we can get a sense of how fast it goes. Imagine taking a ferry here. Oh no. That's why some of these rivers are rough, like this one, and other high in terms of tide. Back earlier in my trip, I tried in Cork. Cork did not have good options for clothing. Barely any good clothing shops in Cork. Galway is a much more interesting city, I think. Galway, there's a lot of great food, which I'll point out walking around. And there's also awesome history. And as well, there is great clothing shops. You look better in blue, says Janice. Oh, thank you so much. Can you swim in the river? I don't think so. I don't think you should swim in the river. It's very rough, very fast. You might get boosted out to sea very quickly. Jacob says, when Columbus arrived in the Caribbean, he thought he was in Asia. That's a little bit more up to debate, I think. B. Griffin says, weather isn't working. Really? The command isn't working? The Nightbot? And then getting really clean line lens. It's starting to rain a little bit. This is the Spanish Arch. Right over here. So one of the old archways. The Spanish Arch is a bulwark constructed as an extension to the medieval town walls. Completed in 1584, it was built to protect and defend the quays from which Galwegians traded extensively with Britain, Europe, and beyond. It was originally known as the Cian an Bala, in Irish meaning the head of the wall, but over time was become better known as the Spanish Arch. The walls stand to a height of over 6 meters tall from ground level and incorporates a line of defensive features through which the stone or boiling liquids can be dropped on the attackers at the base of the wall. Oh my God. A pictorial map of the 1650s shows that the bulwark with 4 arches, of which only 2 survive, the Spanish Arch and the Blind Arch, so called because you can't see through it. It also depicts the battlements over the arches and 5 cannons facing seawards. At the time, the sea ran up to the base of the wall, which later was damaged by a tsunami. Oh my, tsunami following the devastating Lisbon earthquake of 1755. The Spanish Arch is one of the Galway's most recognizable landmarks and bears testament to its importance as a medieval seaport. Here it is, 1890s. So, what was the year again? 1755. 1755, one of the worst earthquakes to ever hit modern European history, hit Lisbon in Portugal. This earthquake was so devastating that it nearly destroyed the entire city of Portugal, set back the Portuguese Empire, where I think because of the entire ordeal, it got tricky for them to fully control Brazil, and then Brazil became an empire. I don't know the history too well off the top of my head, but that's the gist of it. And that also unleashed a massive tsunami, and that tsunami hit Ireland. It's very eerie talking about this, because right now there is a huge volcanic eruption happening on the Canary Islands. And if that volcano were to unleash a landslide, a sudden landslide, that would fall into the ocean, it would cause a tsunami to hit Ireland anytime as we speak. We will only, I think, here being in Ireland, I think I would only have like an hour, 2 hours warning. And Ireland is a pretty low country, so that would be very scary. And that tsunami could also affect the eastern coast of the US, including New York. And I think you'll get like a 2 hour, 3 hour warning. So it's kind of scary stuff. Probably won't happen, crossing fingers. But this is the Spanish Arch. Another important thing about the Spanish Arch is that the Spaniards actually tried to conquer England with their Spanish Armada. But the Spanish Armada, speaking about a weather phenomenon or natural catastrophes, the Spaniards came here with the largest sea fleet seen in history at the time. They were going to invade England by sea. And also they were going to invade via the Irish Sea. But for some weird reason, which rarely happens in this area of the world, there was a massive tropical storm / hurricane. I'm not sure exactly if it was a full-on hurricane, but so many stories do say it was a hurricane. Then the Spaniards got shipwrecked, and some of them landed here in the west of Ireland. This lends to the legend of the Black Irish. As I mentioned yesterday, there are people in Ireland that have very dark hair, like me. I have very dark hair, but I'm not Irish. But I could be confused as Irish. If I were to have light eyes, blue eyes, or green eyes, I would look exactly like a Black Irish. For the best popular example is Colin Farrell. He's a very well-known Black Irish. Not Afro-Irish. Afro-Irish are people of African descent. So Black Irish, according to legend, come from these shipwrecked Spaniards. The thing is, the Spaniards were shipwrecked here in Ireland, but they couldn't be caught, because if they were caught, they would be immediately executed. So the shipwrecked Spaniards that had no choice but to stay here in Ireland had to live in hiding. And according to the legend, they end up mixing with the locals. So that's where the Black Irish come from. Cool archway. Let me show you more of it. The storm sounds like an act of God, says Nina. Yeah, it's rather interesting. So if you think about it, if Spain, because Spain was very powerful at that time, if there was not a massive hurricane, I could have very well been right now in this country, potentially speaking Spanish rather than English. I could have visited London a few years ago and also been speaking Spanish instead of English. Just imagine that. That would be a very different what if in history. Janice says, no Black Irish media in my family. Yeah, yes. Well, Black Irish refers to basically darker complexion, could be up to olive complexion, and very dark hair, black hair, and light eyes generally. Hey Joe, hey Dermot. Dermot says, never heard of this before, Dermot. Yeah, I'm not sure why. That term is use that term anymore. Black Irish. I guess because Ireland has kind of changed a lot in the past 20 or 30 years. There's a little pathway to get down. Very nice. So down there we have the fishing boats. Dwayne says Billy Connolly has some distant ancestry from India. He's mostly Scottish and Irish. Oh, that's interesting. Billy Connolly actually has a tour of Galway, which I still have yet to see. Made like a comedic one. That's awesome. Sonia says, I have an Irish ancestry and I have brown hair and green eyes. Oh, interesting. This might be a Black Irish. So here's the Galway City Museum. I will be coming back here for Super Urbanists to show them the museum. So Super Urbanists, become a member and you'll get a look into this museum. There's a little restaurant. Dwayne says the actor Anthony Quinn has some Irish ancestry. Alright, now I gotta put on my hood. So this is how I look like when walking around. Ah, there's a cinema right over there. The Palace Cinema. Who wants to catch a movie? Let me know. Need another deck cat to cover the wind noise. Hey, is the wind noise really that bad? Sorry, it's out of my control because I already have a dead cat on my mic. I can't put more, otherwise the sound I think would be too muffled. Is the cinema open? So yeah, let me know if you guys want to see a cinema, want to see a movie, maybe want to watch James Bond. Let me know. I'm joking around though, because though I think it would be video. Unfortunately, copyright issues. It's interesting because it's built in this kind of brutalist building. Now I'm very tempted to come back here later tonight. I kind of want to see a film in the brutalist building. I've never done that before. The Many Saints of Newark is great, says Dermot. Oh, great. It's based on The Sopranos. Okay, let me walk this way. It's a movie kind of day. Oh yeah, Belle, you know how much I kind of want to snuggle up, see a movie on rainy day. Loving the mix of slightly modern architecture and really old ones. Yeah. Oh yeah. Veronica says it's kind of a new building. Yeah, it is. All right, I gotta wait until the cars pass so I can cross the street. Paul says I'm going to see Saints in an hour. Oh, cool, Paul. That's awesome. Do you buy your tickets? Susie says it's brighter here in Bonnie, Scotland. Are we going to the cathedral before you leave? Wendy, which cathedral are you referring to? Which one? Do let me know. Traffic is starting to pick up. Yeah, there's so many cars. You can't even get a space to cross. Do I miss the wait guy from New York City Astrodome? Yeah, I kind of do. It's a very funny way of doing the crosswalk. I kind of like the sound. That sounds like a bomb is about to go off. Actually, that's not an appropriate joke. Joke. Cool mural, says Wendy. Oh, yes, indeed. Beautiful mural. weavers of Ireland. There's a lot of cardigan shops here. You can get your Aran sweater. And here we have a Costa coffee in a castle. What? The Costa coffee is here. I think they own the building though, or they. This is the Latin Quarter of Galway. So Costa Coffee Castle. Mir says, did I go back to the clothing store? I did. It's called Lanny's. Very cool store. Very great service inside. I loved it. Great shopping experience. Highly recommend it. It's men's clothes. Of course, anyone can shop there, but it is men's oriented and really, really good shop. 14 families used to run here, Galway, in medieval era. One of those families is the Lynch family, which we'll learn about soon. But another of the families lived right here. There were thousands of these castles or these towers all around Ireland because in the medieval era, things were very rough. Everywhere there was some type of raiding, some type of war, something. Ireland was never really affected by gigantic wars like maybe England and northern France, and of course World War I and World War II. Not really, but it was always affected by smaller battles. In order to these families to protect themselves, they would build a huge house that was a stone tower, but with a few defensive measures. Let me show you. So this is the huge stone tower. And right here is very interesting, something very, very interesting. All right, bear with me just a few seconds. Sorry everyone, there's a very suspicious fellow Unfortunately, in Ireland, just like in New York, there's always those weird people. I'm just waiting for that person to move away from the tower, but they're sticking around. So I'll show you a little bit more of the river. I'll talk more about the tower a little bit later. So let's stroll a little bit around. I can't get over how high the tide here is. Really, really high. No one fishing, says Tom. It's too high tide to be fishing around. Too high tide. Yeah, very, very swift current. Was this a gatehouse? Did they have like some type of bridge that will open, a drawbridge? Joe says, "Are you okay? I could be there in 15 hours." No, it's okay. Is that here in Ireland, it's a bit different from other countries. There are certain homeless people or junkies that try to strike up a conversation with you, like be friendly, and then they just ask you for money. So that's why sometimes you have these weird characters that you know they're wanting to do that. They're not really going to scam you, hurt you, but that is what they do, and it is a bit weird sometimes. Stephanie says that happens in New York. Yeah, it happens in New York, but here it's a different quality. A beautiful little area here. ¿Hace frío, Evelyn? No hace tanto frío. Hoy se puso un poco más caliente. Hoy se puso un poco más caliente, eso sí. And here we're back at the West End. So Evelyn asks, is it cold? No, here today it got a little bit warmer. So I'm not wearing 2 layers, just 1 layer. Irene says I'm heading over directly to Ireland. Dermot says, try a walk up to Salt Hill. What's in Salt Hill? Dermot, you let me know. Also, we gotta visit St. Augustine, which I'll show you. Oh, let's go through here. So these are all the places one can go. It's over the bridge. Oh, cool. Dermot, thank you so much for the recommendation. perfect weather for ice cream, says Lolo. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, it is. More people on the street now. Must people getting off to work, says Queen Bee. Oh, yes. So, in the height of the Crusades, there was one group of crusaders that end up amassing immense wealth. The year was 1320. St. Nicholas Collegiate Church, which appears to be part of the Church of Ireland. I'll show you over here. Was one of the churches opened up, established by those Knights Templar. Can we go in? They're closed, Wendy. I wish I can show you more churches here. So many churches are closed here in Ireland. It's not like Italy or the US. So yes, this is a church established by the Knights Templar in 1320. But why are the Knights Templar so popular? Why is it interesting that it's built by them? Well, they end up getting immense amount of wealth and also power in many cities all around Europe. The Catholic Church and other kingdoms were very suspicious of them. So the Knights Templar, a few years after, were rounded up and all executed. They were burnt at the stake. They were tortured to get names of other Knights Templars. They were trying to find where to hide their treasures, and they were trying to blame them or seek confessions of illicit activities. Those confessions that they end up getting, one of them was sodomy and homosexuality, which at that time they saw was a deep, deep crime. Put quotation marks because obviously we're living in different times today. And they were all gone basically overnight. These churches, of course, were handed off to other sects. So I'm not sure which one this was handed off to, but obviously, since it's a collegiate church, it's most likely Church of Ireland. Wendy says, Ariel, the king of coats. Yes, indeed. They at the front, is there a front door? The front door is around here and usually it's closed. Let's seek it out. Let's see. It's usually closed. Yeah, fortunately. This church was built over 700 years ago for the people of Galway. We received no governmental help for its regular maintenance. Any donations are appreciated. Yep, Church of Ireland / Anglican. When you see the name collegiate, it's usually a marker of it being Anglican or Episcopal in the US. And here we have another poem. When the light around you lessens and your thoughts darken until your body feels fear, turn cold as stone inside. When you feel yourself barefoot, I don't know how to pronounce that word, barefoot, of any belief in yourself, and all you unknowingly lean on has fallen when one voice commands your whole heart, and it is raven dark. Steady yourself. That it is your own thinking that darkens your world. Search and you will find a diamond thought of light. Know that you are not alone and that this darkness has purpose. Gradually it will school your eyes to find the one gift your life requires. Hidden within this night corner, evoke the learning of every suffering you have suffered. Close your eyes, gather all the kindling about your heart to create one spark that is all you need to nourish the flame that will cleanse the dark of its weight of festered fear. A new confidence will come alive to urge you to come towards higher ground, where your imagination will learn to engage difficulty and its most rewarding threshold. Wow. That's amazing. That's a beautiful poem. And it's very true. Wow. So the poem, in essence, from what I interpret, is saying that when you feel fear, or when you feel doubt, or when you feel some type of diminishment of your light, of joy, of happiness, remember that it's all up here. And that's just your interpretation of the events that happen in the external world. But the real light can never ever be diminished, because the real light is within you. And sometimes the external world is not a proper reflection of who you are, how you feel inside. It's truly comforting. And sometimes we do have those moments of fear, and you just have to breathe it in, turn cold as stone, fully embrace it, because once you do, you're no longer resisting, because what you resist persists. Realize that it's just a eye. In a few moments, or very, very soon. Hey, Irene says I have to go on my plane. Hey, Irene, have a very safe flight. Thank you so much for tuning in. Everyone wish Irene on Facebook. She has been a very, very long time urbanist from Chile, and she's about to board a flight. I have a feeling she's going to somewhere very special. So give Irene a round of hearts. She's watching just before she goes on the plane. That's awesome. This is the wall of Lynch's Castle. On this wall, there is a skull and bones. What does that mean? There's a date on it, which I can barely read. And here's a this ancient memorial of the stern and unbending justice of the chief magistrate of the city, James Lynch Fitzstevens, elected mayor in 1493, who condoned and executed his own guilty son, Walter, on this spot, has been restored to its ancient site, 1854, with the approval of the town's commissioners by the chairman, Reverend Peter Daly. 1493. Mayor James Lynch Fitzstevens and his son Walter. So, there are a few stories as to what happened here. As the plaque says, a mayor executed his own son. But why? Well, there's a few stories. I'll tell you the one that I think is most interesting. There was, hey, oh, you do? Hey, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. That's awesome. A TikTok viewer. Say round of hearts to the TikTok viewer. There's a few stories. The main story, I think the most interesting one, was that there was a Spaniard that came here 1493, shortly before this happened. And this Spaniard was, I think, a merchant from Cadiz. And apparently he was very, very handsome. So handsome that all the Galway girls were fawning over him. And one of the Galway girls that apparently was fawning over him was the girlfriend of Walter. Or at least that's what Walter thought. One night, Walter goes into a jealous rage, thinking that this Spaniard from Cadiz that was swooming all the Galway girls, and no, I'm not, that Spaniard's not me. It's not my ancestor. He ends up thinking that he was trying to make a move on his girlfriend. So he comes and in a jealous rage murders the man in cold blood. Spaniard is dead. And many people would go on the side of the local because, you know, this guy, a Spaniard, he's a foreigner. But the Spaniard, people liked him. Not just the Galway girls, like the Ed Sheeran song, but the town. He had good rapport with the entire town. People thought he was a good guy. Well, this put the mayor in a very tough position because people demanded justice for this man's death. It happened to be his son that killed him. The son was racked with guilt because subsequently he found out that he made no move with his girlfriend. He didn't even get close to her. Hey, yo, that's awesome. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Appreciate it. Round of hearts to the TikTokers as well. A lot of TikTokers here. He found out that he did not make any move. So he was racked with guilt. So he turns himself in and people are demanding some justice. And the mayor is a very stern mayor. He's not one to bend the law, even to his own favor, even to his son's own favor. So he was put in a very bad position to carry out an execution. So on one night, 1493, his son is there. The entire scene is waiting. But people don't feel comfortable with him actually being executed. The executioner doesn't want to execute this guy, Walter. So the mayor takes it into his own hands, ties a rope around his own son's neck, pushes his son hanging to death. You might call this a lynching. You might call the mob that was around it demanding justice a lynch mob. Is it coincidence that the mayor, his name was Lynch, that the son was named also Lynch? Some people don't think that it's a coincidence. Some people think that this is the actual origin for the word lynching or lynch mob. No one knows for sure. People historically, at least historians, think might not be the case. But in Ireland, there is a saying that I recently learned: never let the facts get in the way of a good story. So yeah, don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. So this is known as the Wall of Lynch Castle. Over here, and that's why they have the skull and bones. I got spotted by 3 different people, 2 guys and 1 woman. That's funny. Well, I smell a Lifetime movie, says Joe. Could be a Lifetime movie, yeah. Sad story. Do you feel a ghostly vibe there? I do not. I don't feel a bad vibe here. No, I don't. Some places I do feel like a ghostly or kind of supernatural vibe, but here I don't. At least that's my interpretation. Let's go through here. A laneway. So here we have some more history. St. Nicholas Parochial, is that how I pronounce it? Parochial School. In 1826, a Protestant school began to function from the church grounds. Model schools were used from 1852, but in 1926, pupils were transferred from Buckland Building in Waterside. By 1946, the school became dilapidated, and by 1960, the old Georgian building was in poor condition and was demolished. Oh, that's so sad. I demolished this. It became overcrowded, and a lot of Galwegians came here for generations. Joe! Oh my God, that's so scary. Legend has it that if you stare directly into the eyes of this animatronic doll, you will be forever pushed into a time loop where you have to go to class every single day. Classes every single day. You'll never graduate. You'll forever be in school. So don't look it directly into its eyes. That's a legend I just made up, though. So this is the harbor over here. Ooh, I love all the history that they have here. The harbor, up until the early 18th century, Galway was a busy maritime port, trading with Spain. As I mentioned, many Spaniards made appearances here. Portugal, France, and England, and Italy and America. St. Nicholas Collegiate Church spire, being conspicuous from the bay, acted as a beacon to the sailors, who would take a bearing from Spite to determine their ship's position, and then lining up with Nemo's pier, would alter the course and approach the channel from Galway. At night, the illuminated clock was of particular assistance to mariners making landfill into the harbor. Numerous marriages are recalled in the church registers between sailors and women from the city, along with baptisms and children of coast guards and water guards. Becky says, you do know that will become Irish lore now. Oh wow. The earliest gravestone in the church